All right, Shalom. Salakia, Shalom. We want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, HaKodash. We want to give double honors to our apostles and elders up in Great Millstone who ruled well and taught us this truth. And the sincere peace and salutations to all the Akim pushing this word and truth in all sincerities. The brother Ganan from DC Church coming back at you with a quick video. And Lord's will, this is going to be quick. As you can see, the title is the law done away with? And I'm just going to get a couple quick points. The answer is no. The answer is the law is not done away with. It's just basically cutting, the Christians, because you know how the Christians get down. They believe since Yahweh Shah came and died for everyone's sins that the laws is now done away with. So now they can be whatever they want to be. They can eat whatever they want to eat. you know, the Ten Commandments, which is. So I'm just get right into it. It's Salakia for my tone. As brothers can see, if you can hear it, I'm congested. Jake been dealing with, just being a little under the weather. But I'm gonna jump in Galatians 2:16 because Yahweh Shah didn't die, so you can now be wicked. Law is sin, and to sin is wicked, or to be wicked. Galatians 2:16 it says, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahweh Shah Mashiach. Now remember, the word justified means to be righteous. So I'm gonna take the word righteous out. I'm gonna take the word justified out and replace it with to be made righteous. So it says, knowing that a man is not to be made righteous by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahweh Shah Mashiach. Even we have believed in Yahweh Shah Mashiach, that we might be justified by the faith of Hamashiach, and not by the works of the law. Now, because you can be keeping the law and still not be made righteous. And this is Hebrews 10:10. It says, by the which will we by the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahweh Shah Mashiach once for all. And every priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifice which can never take away sins. That's why you'll see it says also in Hebrews that you second the second covenant is perfect because the first covenant had flaws in it, as it says, which can never take away sins, But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for the sins forever, sat down on the right hand of the Most High. This came and did away with the sacrificial law, and back under the Salakia, back under the first covenant, you will have Israelites that were well-to-do, Jake, that willfully commit a sin, but they know that they had the cattle, they had the resources. So back in Galatians 2:16, it says, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, because you're not being made righteous by way of the law. You have these Israelite camps out here pushing law, the law, the law. And so for instance, you had that guy, Ariala, and I'm gonna call you out, Ariala of formerly of Sakari, who said that he kept the Passover perfect. He had a lamb that was 1 year old and all of that. But the dude wicked as fucking hell, man. You know, he's wicked as all hell. Got exposed, called himself exposing the gorilla guy, and end up getting exposed himself, and also keeping the Passover with another man's woman. You know, you know, he say he kept the Passover exactly how the scriptures say keep it. Uh, but that still don't make you righteous. You see, so that's why the first covenant, uh, uh, especially the sacrificial law, was done away with. But the law itself is not done away with. Um, and 20, it says, "He hath commanded no man to do wickedly, neither have he given any man license to sin." You see, Yahweh Shah didn't come and die to give you a license to sin. You know, but the Lord came and died for our sins, so it's okay to accept homosexuals or adulterers or murderers or thieves, into our congregation because I died for our sins. Or now we can, take from the sea clean. You know, we can take all the crab, shrimp, and lobster, and we can eat it. We can eat the pig, all in the name of Yahweh Shah. So that's why he says in Galatians, going back to Galatians, and I'm gonna finish soon. Jake is getting even more congested as I talk. It's 2:17. But if while we seek to be justified by Hamashiach, we ourselves are also found sinners, is therefore Hamashiach the minister of sins? God forbid. You see, God forbid, because He didn't give you a license to sin. It says in the scriptures that when we get in the kingdom, the laws will be written in our inward parts. So if the laws was done away with, why would in the kingdom it be written in our inward parts so that we don't sin? You know, why is there times where Yahweh Shah said, "Go and sin no more"? Because obviously the law is not done away with, right? This is Matthew 5:17. Matthew chapter 5 verse 17. It says, "Think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I've come not to destroy but to fill." He made it to be perfect. You know, and if you truly believe in Yahweh Shah, you're going to keep His standard and His ways. That Yahweh never changed. And it also says in Hebrews that Yahweh Shah is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So their word has always been the same. You know, not gonna get this unless the Lord is truly dealing with you. You know, another cut to the Christian doctrine, and also you Jakes, you Israelites that push the law, the law, the law, and that concept. You know, of that the law is not going to justify you, but it's your faith in Yahweh Shema Shah. And also for you Christians, you're not able to basically sin. You're not able to sin, willfully. Hold the words of the Most High, and basically every order in the scriptures is a command. So you have to honor the commandments, or else you're doing what? Is right if you're keeping the words of the Lord, you're trying to be made righteous. But if you're sinning and you're going off, you're wicked. So, just making that quick point. Is the law done away with? No. You still gotta uphold it, to the best of your ability. But what you're really graded off of is your belief in Yahweh Bashem Shah. That's why I said it's Ephesians 11 and 6. We get that real quick. It's a lot here, brothers. I know it's, kind of irritating to just listen to this video, hear about, all this mucus and shit. So Salakia for that. But Hebrews 11 and 6, they say, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. But without faith it's impossible to believe him. So in order to be made justified is to truly believe in Yahweh Bashem Shah. And when you hear and learn of Yahweh Bashem Shah, then when you go to Ephesians, the fourth chapter, it says, but ye have not so learned Hamashiach, if so be that ye have heard of him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahweh Shai, that ye put off concerning the former conversation, which is corrupt according to deceitful lust. You see? Deceitful lust, the ways that you live before you heard and been taught of Yahweh Shai, you have to put that off, you know? And have to be renewed. It says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that ye put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness. You see, once you put on that new man, once you sup with Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, then Yahweh Shai, dwelling in you, you're not gonna you're gonna want to keep the standard of the Lord. You're not gonna accept just anybody that live an alternative lifestyle to be around you. You're not going to accept someone offering you unlawful foods. You're not going to accept an adulterer to be in your company. You know that there's a different conduct that comes with knowing and believing in Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, right? 2 and 20. With Hamashiach, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of the Most High, who loved me and gave himself for me. So if Yahweh Shai is really living within you, and he really supping within you, you're going to know to live, a lifestyle that you're commanded not to live. You're not going to be saying, "Oh, the law is done away with," as if it's a license to go and do whatever you want. That's why the old law wasn't perfect. You know, that's why if you really understand, you will understand that we're over the law itself, because you will have Jake that will abide by the law, but they'll be all the way off, man. You know, but yeah, man, it's just an understanding of is the law done away with or not? The answer is the law is not done away with. The law is not grievous. You know, if you're a righteous man, you don't want the law to be done away with. That's the standard of Israel. You know, but if we were graded by the law itself, we will all be gone. That's the point of Yahweh Shai. And yeah, man, that's the point. But Lord's will, this was edifying against Salakia for the tone and the sickness that Jake is battling. But I just want to put that on wax. Lord's will, this was edifying. That I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashua, Rakakodash, and double honors to our apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule well towards this truth. Shalom.